the pitch is Luke towards shortstop. Petroselli's back. He's got it. The Red Sox win. And he's pandemonium on the field.
Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, brought to you each week by the National Sports Collectors Convention. Join us every Wednesday evening at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time and get the latest news from the greatest experts in the sports collectibles world. You can watch us on the Great American Collectibles Facebook page, as well as YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And now your hosts, award-winning sports collectibles author Tom Zappola and Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli.
Looks like Rico's lost a lot of weight. I don't even see him. You know, is it me?
No.
I mean, you guys both witnessed what went on prior to us going on the air. It's not me, right?
No.
Right? All right. I mean, I just want to make sure, Lou, you gotta help him.
You're a technical road scholar compared to
Lou, you're gonna have to step up to the plate, and you're gonna have to help him.
How's this gonna work?
Drive to his house. I don't care. Go drive to his house. Press the turn on button, and when he, I don't know.
There's Mike Petroselli Marketing. Where's Mike? He can take a drive over and get his email set up. That's all we need.
How can one person be as technically challenged as Rico is when it comes to computers? How can that be?
I don't know. And this is inside baseball, but the guys know it because they sat through it. This is inside baseball. But we did this with this setup last week. Last week we did it.
It was perfect.
It's the first time with this setup.
And not only that, but he wrote it down on a piece of paper in front of us.
Yep.
All right, listen, I got to jump in. Tom, I love you, but that paper is gone. So wherever he wrote it down, that's clearly like, it's just gone in thin air. And the thing is, you guys that was incredible entertainment. He doesn't even realize it. And so even though it might have been, making you feel war-torn, it gave me a great smile. So thank you guys.
No, I'm at the age where I just let it go.
Right. And I told Lou gets a reprieve in about 3.5 more weeks, because for 3 months after that, January, February, March, Rico and I are going to be together. His condo is right down the street from mine. So we will be broadcasting from my camera, my computer, in my condo, all set up nicely. He doesn't even have to press a button. All he has to do is show up with a coffee. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah, I think you can figure that out. But to answer your question initially to start the show, to be clear, whatever Rico's lacking in technology, that's the reason why he played pro ball and all of us didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you're really like painfully quiet here.
This isn't. First of all, I'm taking the fifth. That's number one. Number two, I've been to this rodeo before.
How many times, Joe?
I don't know. It's been a lot,
right? I mean, it's just amazing. Anyway, welcome to the Great American Collectible Show. Tom Zappola, our good friend Joe Orlando, and our new writing partner, Ellen and I, Leighton Sheldon from Just Collect. Nice. We're going to be talking. We have a great, that's the reason I asked. Obviously, that's why Leighton's on. That's why Joe's on. Ellen and I and Leighton. We have a new book project coming out. We're going to talk about it. We're really excited about it. This is, for Ellen and I, this is going to be our 8th book. Most likely our last book. Ellen says no, but I'm saying yes. Most likely our last book. And we're 7 for 7. We've won 7 awards. National awards, and hopefully this is going to be the 8th. And honestly, Leighton, the T206 book kind of gets put into a category of its own. That was our first book and really did well. Everybody loved it, and the other books did well. But I have a feeling about this book. This is totally different, and I really think we're going to hit a home run with it. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I'm honored and privileged to be part of the journey with you. I couldn't think of a better team of, writing partners. You and Ellen have been amazing. But to get back to the hobby, I think it's going to be an awesome project because first, it's really fun to investigate the topic, which I'm going to let you mention in a minute, or the topics. And I also feel like all of us here, Lou included, I would include Rico, but I think he lost some weight. We can't see him still. And I feel like the hobby actually is going to welcome this resource, but it's going to go well beyond the hobby because there really isn't a definitive place that aggregates all this wonderful information. And after whatever years or decades, it's going to be lost to time. So I'm really excited to be able to document this with you and Ellen.
And the reason we asked Joe is working kind of behind the scenes with us as a consultant. Joe's already been a big help to me personally with questions, answering questions about the hobby. And Leighton, by the way, Joe is a consultant, so feel free to pick up a phone or email him and.
Oh, listen, I'm glad that I got the green light, like as if you were my baseball coach, because now, Joe, I'm going to start to bombard you because I didn't realize you're on the payroll, so to speak.
That's it. Well, actually, it's a little more obviously. Joe is writing the forward to the book, number one, and he is on board as a consultant. Joe, did I tell you that about you being a consultant?
No, but it's not. It's not like Leighton and I didn't know each other. I mean, a quarter century ago, we were enjoying an adult beverage at a Bennigan's. After
oh my God, yeah.
So this shows how time flies, but no, very excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're real excited about this. The thing is, everybody in the hobby really seems to be on board with this. I mean, everyone you can think of, the major auction houses, the major card dealers, PSA, the National, everybody is on board and excited about it. So we'll talk a little bit about it. About the topic, and then we're going to get into some other stuff. Joe, I know you guys have a big auction going on. Leighton, does Just Collect have something going on special right now, or?
Well, we always do. We're busy, but certainly not as busy as Heritage. So I'm happy to have Joe talk about his amazing auction. And I just want to give a special shout out to Lou because Lou and I worked together for a long time, and it really is fun to be part of the show today. And Rico, even if you're not, on screen, you're here in spirit, buddy.
Oh, Rico, I can tell you right now, Rico's throwing stuff against the wall. He's pissed off. He really is. And something, nothing I can do about it. You can only.
Now you do the best you can, both of you.
Exactly. But anyway, so the name of the book, we've been talking about it. We were kicking some ideas around a while back, and we came up with the idea. Actually, Leighton he germinated the seed. And then we kind of picked it up in a discussion, and I said, well, what do you think about this? And we just went back and forth. And the name of the book is going to be Legendary Finds in Sports Collecting Treasures. Now, the book is going to be broken up into multiple sections. We'll go through some of the sections. We're not going to go through particular, we don't want to give away what the entire book's going to be about, but there are certain things that we can talk about. The first section of the book, and Joe, you and I have already talked about this. Feel free to kind of help explain, and Leighton, you too, what this is all about, the second section especially. So the first section of the book is going to be called The Legendary Finds. And these are the finds that are familiar to all of us per the definition of what a find is in the hobby. Everybody knows about, for instance, the Lucky 7 find, the Uncle Jimmy find, the Black Swamp find. So we've got about a list of probably the 10 or 15 of what we call the top finds in the hobby. Joe, you want to elaborate on that and what that actually means?
Yeah, I mean, I think with these, this is sort of the obvious stuff. The stuff it's recognized by the entire hobby. It's impactful. Whether it's the volume of the find, whether it's like the Lucky 7 find, it was impactful in the sense that it was only 7 and then 8 total a year later, but it was impactful in the sense that they were rarities and it completely changed the population of known examples for that item. So yeah, the section you're referring to, I think, is universally recognized finds inside of our hobby.
Leighton, you want to add to that, or
Yeah, I mean, I think, Joe, you nailed it. Just to add, let's say, an additional find as a sneak peek. Everyone knows about the great 1952 Topps find that was made by Alan Rosen, decades ago, and then that SGC 9.5 that you guys sold to Heritage, Joe, for I think $12 point something million emanated from that find. And so what I really like about what we're doing, guys, is it's not just the obvious, because the obvious was, hey, this fine was made, this card or these cards were sold for X amount. No, we're really trying to dig a little bit deeper to the extent of, I can speak for myself and Tom, and I think probably to a lesser extent, maybe Joe and Ellen can also talk about this, but we're interviewing folks that were on the front lines of these
That's a
fines,
great
and we're
point.
trying to find out, some things that maybe weren't in the auction catalog.
Good
or
point.
weren't obvious to the public at the time, and maybe at the time when they wrote the description was really an afterthought to the story. But it's really like those nooks and crannies, I think,
It's
that
a
all together.
backstory. It's
Yeah.
basically a backstory to the find. Obviously, we're going to talk about the find, as Leighton says and Joe says, but we're digging. We're trying to dig as deep and as far back as we can possibly go to. And at least some of the narratives that I'm working on, I've already found some amazing surprises based on interviews with other people. So that's the first section of the book. And we're going to be talking to auction houses. We're going to be talking to individuals. It's going to be kind of a cool section to the book. The second section of the book, and Joe, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on this because you really deciphered it nicely to me when we spoke about it. It's called Epic Treasures. Now, they're fines, but they're not the defined fines as defined by the hobby, like the Lucky Seven or the Black Swan. These are, I'm going to give you an example. The T206 Honus Wagner. Famous T206 Honus Wagner, owned by Kenny Kendrick, Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, that is that's a card that at some point in time was new to the hobby, but it's not necessarily a find as defined like the Black Swan find. Joe, can you elaborate on what this section is a little bit about?
Sure. So every collectible, whether it's one item or 10,000 items, is new to the hobby at some point in time. So I think, as in talking to you about the book and kind of what the goal is here is to go back in time and find some really, really interesting items that, you're calling them epic treasures, and talking about when they first entered our hobby. So, because what's really cool about this book, why I'm excited to be a part of it, is that I think of all the books that you've done, Tom, this is the most inclusive. There's going to be vintage, there's going to be modern, there's going to be things from virtually every sport. It's not as specialized as some of the books before. So there's kind of something for everybody here. And let's face it, as a collector, I'm 54 now. I've been doing this my whole life. I still get excited. It doesn't matter if the item is worth 10,000 or 10 million. When something is fresh to the hobby, and it happens every month, we discover something that is new to the hobby. We're bringing it from the outside and into our world. That's what this is about. So that second section, these may not be hobby documented, recognized finds, but it's going back in time and talking about how some really, really exquisite items have, when they entered the hobby, how they entered the hobby, where they came from, kind of like, as you said, the backstory of how this stuff came into our market. So it really kind of opens the book up to a lot of interesting categories.
Lou, kick in here, by the way, whenever you so choose. One thing that's important about the second section that we're talking about, Epic Treasures, it's not all about the money. There are items in here. There are stories in here, and I call them narratives. There are narratives in here on items or cards that are worth millions and millions of dollars. And then there are certain other epic treasures that are worth 5 figures. It's the story behind the item that is really, really kind of cool. And so, I'm going to give one, if I may. This is an item, and this is just kind of cool. This is an item that J.P. Cohen from Memory Lane Auctions, we were talking about it. We went to J.P. using him as an example and said, okay, let's, give us a couple of the epic treasures that have gone through the hands of memory lane auctions. And one of them, it's kind of a cool piece. It's a canceled check signed by Babe Ruth. I think it's for $6,700 or $7,500. Okay, no problem. Signed check. There's some value to that. I'm not sure how much. You guys are the experts in that stuff. However, it was signed. It was his last paycheck of the season, and it happened to be signed on the same day that he hit his 60th home run. Now, that's a cool piece. It's a very cool piece. He goes in, signs the check, right? Cashes the check, by the way, that morning, same day, goes out and hits the 60th home run. That's kind of a cool piece to talk about. And that's just an example of a piece that's not worth millions, but it's got a great backstory behind it. Leighton?
Yeah, listen, I think everyone covered it really well. Joe, once again, really did a great job of kind of painting what that second section would look like. And what I like about the book, to elaborate what you were just saying, how it's inclusive. It's not just inclusive of cards, but it's inclusive of memorabilia. It's inclusive of vintage and modern. And so I think there's going to be something for everyone, in this book.
We've got every sport. We've got basketball, baseball, hockey, and football. We've got every sport. I mean, obviously, it is what it is, but we've got a little of everything. The third section is going to be kind of a fun section. We're going to use some of the names because we've already spoken to them. It's going to be called Private Collector Finds. And we're reaching out to the, 10 or 15 of the most iconic private collectors in the hobby. And we're asking them, in your entire collection, what is your one Mona Lisa? What is the one item that you own that really hits home with you, that is your favorite piece? And some of the names, I'm not going to mention all of them, but we're reaching out to people like Joe, people like Marshall Fogel. Some of you may or may not know who Marshall Fogel is. Brian Siegel, Mike Hefner, Tom Ruggie, on a particular collection that he has. So we're going to kind of mix it up. We're reaching out to some of the great collectors in the country, and we're going to write narratives about that one piece and what it means to them. So I think that's going to be kind of a cool piece. Joe, I'm writing yours now. I've been working on yours. It's a great bat that Joe happens to own. I'm not going to get into the particulars, but it's just a wonderful story behind the bat. That's an example. Lou, did you have a question? Are you okay with? We're good.
No, I'm kind of working with Rico here, but
okay.
He's still trying. I like Lou. He doesn't get.
Are you getting anywhere?
Well, Rico's on, but I don't see any mic input, so I don't know if he has a mic selected. But as you know, it's hard to wrangle during the show. I just wanted to mention that I think Leighton is like the perfect partner for this book, because when I was working on the show with Leighton, what we did every week was he was talking about how cards came into Just Collect. And there were always stories about people bringing them into the shop, or he'd go travel to see them. And it added so much value to the cards. I mean, a nice card is a nice card. There's no doubt about it. But when you know the backstory, it came out of somebody's closet, or it was passed down from a father or something like that, or the story of them collecting together, or a grandfather, it just makes such a difference. These stories are so important to the hobby and add so much value to the card in each of the individual pieces.
I couldn't agree with you more. The fourth section is something that Leighton and I came up with just in a phone conversation, which I don't know if you said it or I said it, but we both said it. Hey, you know what would really be cool? Why don't we do a section? And when Leighton said this to me, Joe, I automatically thought back to the card that's sitting right behind you on the wall, the Crackerjack card, the Babe Ruth card that never was in the Crackerjack collection. And I started thinking about it. Leighton started thinking about it. So we're going to do a section called Lost Treasures. And these are the items that no one ever found, or no one ever knows what happened to them. And I'm going to give you, like, for instance, one example, maybe two. I'll give you two examples. Like the Wilt Chamberlain 100-point basketball. Whatever happened to that? So we're going to do a section on that. That's going to be cool. The Jack Nicklaus lost putter from the 1986 Masters. That putter got lost. No one ever knows what happened to that. So we're going to do a section on kind of like a fun section called The Lost Treasures. The fifth and final section of the book is going to be, I'm kind of excited about it. We're going to be working with Nat Turner, President and CEO of Collectors, obviously PSA. And Nat, I think Nat is probably the foremost expert, Joe, and jump in here, on the modern market, modern card world, and what the modern market is all about. And quite frankly, that's not my bailiwick. I know a little bit about it. I have written about it, but I'm certainly no expert in the modern market. So the title is going to be called Nat Turner's Modern Marvels, and we're going to talk to Nat about his personal collection in the modern world, and then we're going to talk about other people's modern items that exist, private collectors, and get his opinion on it and talk about that. So we're going to be doing an entire section on the modern world. We can't exclude that. The only thing I can tell you unequivocally that will not be mentioned anywhere in the covers of this book is Pokemon. I'm just letting you know.
That sounded bitter, Tom.
I'm sorry?
That sounded bitter.
If you're a Pokemon freak, you're going to have to go elsewhere. That's all I can say. Anyway, that's pretty much covers the whole outline of the book. What are your thoughts, guys? I mean, Leighton, obviously, we've been working together now quite a while. It's going to be a good project.
Yeah, well, first, I appreciate the kind words, Lou. Joe, I really am grateful that you're involved. I kind of feel like you're going to be a consigliere to me and the project, with all your experience in the hobby and elsewhere. And as far as just having fun, Tom, I think you kind of shared this with me at the beginning with your lovely wife, Ellen. Like in the beginning, it was a little bit of a daunting task of like, wait a minute, I got to somehow write, have interviews, weave this all together, somehow field calls from Tom. If I was dealing with Rico, I'm definitely out. No, I'm just kidding. But the joking aside, it's really fun to, as Lou was alluding to, like I've always been into the story and the provenance. It's not just to me about the card or the item, meaning the piece of memorabilia and the value. It's about where it emanated from. And Joe, I think you nailed it with that particular section where we're talking about some of the great items of the hobby where those details of actually how they came to be are lost. And so, Tom and I know this because we've been doing extensive research. If you listen to this show and you doubt us for a second, try to just Google it and see if there's a central place for like all of these epic and wonderful finds that have taken place over the decades. And there just isn't. So if nothing else, I think this book is going to be entertaining and certainly utilitarian for those that are in the hobby and love it. But I really think for outside the hobby, we're trying to target the regular person who likes to just read something fun, and we want to make it so that it's enjoyable for all.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun book for non-hobby people. I really do. I think people
that's been the theme of all your books, Tom. I think that's been true of all.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Lou. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into some other things, relative to what's going on in the hobby. Also, we're going to come back with another CJ moment, another crackerjack moment. You guys aren't aware of this, but about 3 weeks ago, we got a call from our book warehouse, and they found 4 crackerjack cases of books stashed in a corner. So quite honestly, that's the last 4 that exist. We want to get rid of them. We went over to the distributor, signed them all. And I'm doing like we used to do, another crackerjack moment. People can buy it on Tom Zappala Media at, I think, really cheap price. So we just want to get rid of them. So we're going to take a quick break. Now, if Rico can get on during the break, Lou, that would be monumental. But I know there's no guarantees in life.
No, there are not.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
For more than 30 years, Robert Edward Auctions has been the industry leader when it comes to helping you realize the most money for your baseball cards and sports memorabilia. In addition to their unparalleled reputation for honesty and integrity, they reach the largest number of bidders in the business and offer lower seller's fees, as well as generous cash advances up front on your valuable material. Contact them today at 908-226-9900. That's 908-226-9900 or at robertedwardauction.com.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
I guess no luck with the Reek Man, huh?
Do we want to try him? I'm just not sure we have any audio. But...
Well, if we don't, then you're going to have to just let him depart. But let's give it a shot.
Rico? We don't have any video either, apparently.
No video. No. Well, he looks pretty good. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Oh, wait. What are your thoughts on this, Lou?
Let's see. See if he comes on. It'll be a little mystery. It'll be great.
Should we let it spin?
Yeah, let's let it spin.
All right. It's time.
Oh, he dropped off.
I know he did. Now he probably threw his phone now against the wall. All right. It's time for another Crackerjack moment brought to us each week by our good friend Paul Borges and PB Collectibles. Go to pbcollectibles.com for that special vintage card at... Are you there?
Ba-ba-boo.
He can't hear us. Put your headsets on.
Rico, put your headset on. We can hear it. Can you let him go? Let him go. Let him go, Louis.
We had audio too. I'm trying to
What was that?
He's going to kill himself. All right, again, it's time for another Crackerjack moment brought to you by our friend Paul Borges and PB Collectibles. Go to pbcollectibles.com for that special vintage card at an amazing price. All right, this week, one of my favorite players in the Crackerjack circles, Benny Koff. Periodically, a player comes up through the ranks that fans attach to because of their antics as well as their talent. Pearsall, Belinsky, Fidrich. The list of good players with the sideshow goes on and on. Benny Koff certainly fits the bill. A trash-talking, brash self-promoter, Koff was as colorful as he was talented. Nicknamed the Ty Cobb of the Federal League, Koff tore up the short-lived Federal League for 2 years, batting a whopping .370 in 1914, followed by .342 in 1915. Once the Federal League folded and Koff was signed by the Giants, he had some productive offensive years in the National League, but never lived up to his self-promotion. Not known for being humble, Koff often bragged about what a good player he was. His best year in the National League was in 1917 when he batted .308 for the Giants. As a kid, he developed unusual strength from working in the mines. Known for his combination of power and speed, Koff was actually a very good player with a big mouth, and his fans found him to be entertaining both on and off the field. Koff enjoyed the high life, wearing expensive suits, drinking expensive liquors, and smoking expensive cigars. Unfortunately, Koff was caught up in a swirl of allegations of the 1919 World Series fix, although there was really no proof of his involvement. His run in the bigs, though, ended abruptly when he was indicted as part of a stolen car operation.
Yeah.
Even though he was acquitted, Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis banned Koff for life because he did not believe he was innocent. Although banned from playing the game, though, he did work as a scout for 22 years before retiring to work as a salesman at a high-end men's clothier. Add Koff to the list of Pearsall, Belinsky, and the rest. There's always a place for guys like him who make the game more interesting. And that's another Crackerjack moment.
Take advantage of this find of these Crackerjack books. Go to tomzappalamedia.com, the Crackerjack collection, to order tomzappalamedia.com/Crackerjack collection to order your copy of the Crackerjack collection, baseball's prized players. This great book will give you a glimpse into the personal and professional lives of the players in this iconic collection. That's the Crackerjack collection, on sale now at 30% off the regular retail price. tomzappalamedia.com/Crackerjack collection.
Thank you, Lou. I'll tell you what, guys like Benny Koff, man, there's some great characters in the history and annals of baseball. He was one of my favorite. Did you ever have sell any Benny Koff Crackerjack cards, Leighton?
I mean, I've had a Crackerjack set, before and had broken it up, so I have, but I didn't know all that info about him. And so, maybe next time I come across him, I'll keep it for my PC.
Yeah,
He was the star of the Federal League. I mean, he tore up the Federal League.
Yeah, he did. He's really good. But then he came back, and obviously the Federal League was nowhere near as good. But he did well in the Federal League, and didn't too bad in the major leagues also. There's a bunch of those characters. All right, listen, Joe. Let's get to the auction. You guys are in the middle. No, you just started it, right? Have you just started the auction, or
yeah, we just opened our last real big event of the year, so it closes the 19th through the 21st. It's been open for a few days and is already up to about 12 million. So it's moving along at a very, very rapid pace, but it is filled with all sorts of incredible items as usual with our large catalog events. I mean, the headliner, of course, is actually something from the ultra modern world, which is a 2003 Upper Deck exquisite collection dual logo man Jordan and Kobe card, all NBA access patches. It's already over $1 million. We have an estimate of 3 million and up on this card, but this is really kind of, everyone wants to talk about, it's always LeBron versus Jordan, who's the GOAT, right? But before LeBron, Kobe was the sort of heir apparent. He was really the guy that Jordan passed the baton to in the NBA. And in terms of popularity, I mean, everything Kobe is as popular as it has ever been, or more popular than it has ever been. So having both Jordan and Kobe on the same card is, being a one of one is a really special thing. The items that are probably catching a lot of people's eye in the auction, and we've talked about this, Tom, we're calling it the Golden Age collection, but it is arguably the most vast and impressive period signed card collection that ever come to market.
It's mind-boggling is what it is.
It really is. And I mean, and that's saying something, knowing about, the Uncle Jimmy collection, everyone knows about that. The Uncle Jimmy find, that was incredibly impressive, but it was more concentrated. Obviously, we were talking in that case, Ruth and Gehrig and Gaudi's and those sorts of issues. So a lot of value pound for pound there. But here, it kind of extends from the 40s well into the 50s. But the real key here is when you see in this auction, there's a 52 Topps mantle. And you say, well, I've seen other 52 Topps mantles autographed. They're not common, but this is a period signed 52 Topps mantle. Go find another one. There are plenty of mantles that are signed later in his career and post-career, but it's a period mantle signature. So this collection was built during the period. It wasn't a situation where the person assembling this was going and getting the cards autographed much later in their career or, again, post-career. So when you see a 51 Bowman Mays in there, that's around a 1951. It's a period signature on his rookie card. And already you can see the response from the collecting community. Again, we've only been open for a few days. The mantle is well over $500,000. The Mays is over $100,000, which I think the estimate was $100,000. It's already there. A few days into the auction, it's much different. It's much more challenging to find vintage signed cards with an autograph that matches.
Joe, I just want to make sure that I understand clearly in my mind, because Mike Prove was on with us last week.
Mm-hmm.
So this collection, did I understand that this guy had, or this consignor had, just about every set between the 40s and 50s, and every card is signed? Or did I misunderstand that?
You didn't. That's what's scary. So, of course, a lot of the concentration is going to be on the mantles and the Mazes and the Jackie Robinsons because of the value, right? But for really hardcore autographed card collectors, like really hardcore guys, it's the commons. It's the obscure guys that are hardest to find, of course. This guy, if you look at his 1955 top set, he's got the whole set. I mean, he's got the whole set of basically going from the 40s through the 1950s. And think about so many iconic issues, that were released during that time. I mean, I don't know if every single set is complete, but he has virtual completion in a number of those sets. And again, for the really advanced vintage signed card collectors, it's those obscure guys. The mantles, the Mazes you can find, again, usually signed much later in their life. but try to find some of those guys that were only up for a cup of coffee, for a year or two, or died prematurely in their life. There are some really, really difficult cards throughout the collection.
Leighton, jump in, you guys, both of you guys.
Well, I'm sorry. We've been talking about this the last couple of weeks of vintage signings. In other words, period signings, and especially with this collection, we talked with Mike last week. Is the quality of the autographs in this collection good? Does it hold up? I mean, obviously there's years. I don't know how they were signed and what they were signed with. Have the autographs held up in this collection?
The autographs for sure. Now with the cards, look, some of the cards are 1s and 2s. Some of the cards are 4s, 5s, and 6s. So the card condition ranges quite a bit, but the autographs do. And part of the reason for that is back in those days, ballpoint was a much more common writing instrument or autograph instrument than Sharpies and stuff like that. And the beauty of that is that the ballpoints tend to hold up versus, when people have things signed in Sharpie, just ask someone who's had a knit jersey signed in Sharpie over the years, or a glove or something like that. If it's not stored, even if it is stored correctly and displayed correctly and protected, certain types of writing, instruments and pens just don't hold up. But ballpoint is wonderful.
Leighton?
That's incredible, Joe. So do you happen to know the story of like how this either individual or this family or however this collection or whoever this collection is owned by, do you happen to know the story behind it?
Well, let's put it this afternoon we will find out the story.
He's saving it for the book, Leighton.
That's in the book. I mean, I can.
Sorry, I didn't know, because now all of a sudden I'm really interested, Joe.
As a matter of fact, I can use his name. This afternoon I have a call scheduled with Dan Imler from Heritage. Dan was the person that handled this particular consignment, so that will be in the book. The story of that collection will be in the book.
Well,
but I do know, Joe, I do know that the consigner, I think Louis, correct me if I'm wrong, I guess the consigner lived near one of the ballparks.
Oh, he was in New York, so all the players were coming through New York.
So he would just plant himself at Yankee Stadium or wherever the hell he planted himself.
And he knew the hangouts, the bars and the restaurants.
And get him coming in and out. And that's how he accumulated it. But I mean, I can't even imagine having a collection that large. Joe and Leighton, I'm going to ask you both of you guys this question. You talked about, is there a big price difference, or how big a difference is there with a 1951 Bowman mantle being signed by Mickey Mantle in pen versus a 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle being signed in 1978 with a Sharpie?
There is a premium, but interesting that you bring that up. I think that's one of the areas in the market that hasn't been completely appreciated or leveraged yet. And part of that is, and this is the challenge. Look, for the authentication services, they haven't gone as far as saying this is from this year or this period, that sort of thing, because it's an opinion, right? But there is a premium. But I think what's interesting about this auction, and by the way, these cards, because of the volume that we're talking about, they're going to be spread out over a few auctions. So this is just the very first taste from this collection, but we're going to find out. So, for example, that 52 Topps mantle, the card is only, I've pulled it up here, the card is only a 1.5 in terms of the grade of the card. The autograph is an 8, but it's the only one that I've seen with a period signature around 1952.
So that'll tell the story.
Right. And what's cool about that, think of it this way, because they're period signatures on all these stars, again, Mays, Mantle, and so forth. What's neat to think about, and Lou brought this up earlier about the stories when he was talking about his experience with Leighton, is that this is before Mantle was Mantle. He signed that card before he was a superstar. Mays signed that 51 Bowman before he was a superstar. And that's part of the story. They were guys just trying to break in and trying to keep their jobs at the major league level. And you've heard about Mantle. He went into that slump and then he came back. I mean, most guys,
I never thought of that, because you're right. You've got Mickey Mantle signing a 51 Bowman in pen, and he was just another rookie. He was just another rookie.
Another guy trying to make it. Again, they were prospects, certainly, but there are many prospects that come through all the various sports. But so to go back to your question, Tom, there has been a premium associated with period signed versus signed, post-career or later in a career. However, again, I think it's actually one of the areas of the market that hasn't been fully appreciated. We are going to find out, because when this 52 Topps mantle finally sells, it'll be interesting to see how it measures up to other 52 Topps mantles that were signed with kind of that classic post-career Sharpie that was probably signed at a card show in the 1980s, and just see how it measures up to it.
Let me ask it to you, and I'll start with Leighton. In this particular instance, where you have a 52 set signed by everybody, a complete set signed, and you have that very valuable mantle card, what's the discussion about breaking the card out or keeping the set together? Because the set story, we're talking about stories today, the set story is incredible, of course.
Well, I mean, first, I'm flabbergasted by this fine. It's absolutely insane. I'll try to address both things. First, your question, Lou. Listen, if I'm in Joe's position on behalf of Heritage, to me, I'm just shooting from the hip, Lou and Joe and Tom, but it's a no-brainer. You have to break up the set to maximize the value. And the reason why, Lou, is because there's actually a number of people that are very hungry and thirsty, i.e. the demand is really high, as Joe alluded to, for some of those guys that maybe only had a cup of coffee in the majors. Well, that might be the difference between having their set complete or not. And so at the end of the day, ultimately, if they sold it as a set, I believe it more likely would have gone to someone like myself or maybe another, let's say enterprising dealer or even enterprising dealer collector, and they would have ultimately broke it up. And the reason why they would have broke it up, Lou, is because the mantle's going to get a premium. The jack is going to get a premium. But as Joe is alluding to, and he's right, some of the commons might actually outsell some of the Hall of Famers because of how rare and tough they are.
Interesting.
And so, as far as the period signatures, I just want to comment because I collect vintage signed cards, and I wanted to Joe to kind of zip it because I agree. I think that, if the authentic, thanks for laughing, Joe, if some of the authentication companies, and I understand why they don't, because it's challenging, but if there comes a day where they just say, for example, there's two ways they identify a signature, career or post-career. That's it. If they go as simple as that, which they might, Joe, it's possible, then I do believe there's going to be some sort of premium for that particular piece. But I also think it depends on the player. I collect Michael Jordan, and I can tell you, I love getting a piece that was signed in like the 84, 85, 86 range versus like the upper deck authenticated stuff. Not that that stuff is bad, but I think similar to what you all were saying collectively, I like the notion that like Jordan still got his Nike contract and was still trying to prove himself versus being an upper deck and he's already a gazillionaire.
Makes sense. We are chatting with Leighton Sheldon from Just Collect, our co-author, and Joe, I was going to say Joe Tomasulo. Joe Orlando from Heritage Auctions. By the way, Rico and I think, are going to be at the Philly show next week. And let's talk about the Philly show. The Philly show returns December 12th through the 14th at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks, celebrating 50 years of connecting collectors, athletes, and fans. Shop over 600 dealer tables across 150,000 square feet of sports cards, memorabilia, sealed product, collectibles, and an expanded Pokemon and TCG section, now over 100 tables, from vintage favorites to the latest releases. Grading and authentication companies will be on site along with major sports auction houses for submissions, valuations, and appraisals. Kids 10 and under are free with a paid adult, and active duty military and veterans receive half off admission with proof of service. And don't miss our community trade nights happening Friday and Saturday evening. Open tables, great energy, and collectors trading with collectors all night long. Now the autograph lineup with more guests still to be announced. Meet current Philadelphia Eagles stars Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship, and Brandon Graham. Philly stars and legends of the past, Cole Hamels, Larry Bower, and Lenny Dykstra. Baseball Hall of Famers Vlad Guerrero Sr., Edgar Martinez, Eddie Murray, Tony Perez, Alan Trammell, and Dave Winfield. NBA Hall of Famers Dennis the Worm Rodman and Dominique the Human Highlight Reel Wilkins. Jerome the Bus Bettis will also be appearing. And last but not least, if he can get there, the one and only Rico Petroselli. We'll be meeting fans and signing autographs. Rico will be there on Saturday, December 13th. For more information, you can just go to phillyshow.com, and we hope to see you there in a couple of weeks. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have one more segment with Joe and Leighton. Hang in there, and we shall return.
I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you are a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. Highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Okay, we are back, and Lou's in the house, Joe's in the house, Leighton's in the house. Lou, why don't you tell our folks about our friend Tom Finkelmeyer and the Finkelmeyer Insurance Company?
Well, the Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency has been insuring collectibles since the early 80s. The late Tom Finkelmeyer wrote the original sports memorabilia insurance policy when no one else in the industry was insuring sports collectibles. A lifelong collector of sports cards, Tom Sr. instilled the love of collecting in Tom Jr., the current president of Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency. Tom Finkelmeyer Jr., with 3 decades of insurance experience, has paired that expertise with 50 years of collecting and with a litany of professional designations, including counseling and risk management. Tom covers every aspect of your collectibles insurance needs. Unlike some of the companies that just sell collectibles insurance directly to consumers online, Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency is the only independent retail agent who specializes in sports memorabilia and collectibles nationwide, representing all major companies that sell collectibles insurance. And there's no agent that insures more collectors, dealers, appraisers, auctioneers, or events in the collectibles hobby than Finkelmeyer Insurance. Our good friend and hobby legend John Tobby of JT Sports has been using Finkelmeyer Insurance for over 20 years. For more information, go to thefia.com, thefia.com. That's Finkelmeyer Insurance, where collecting is our passion.
Hey, Leighton, I want to ask you, you grew up 70s, 80s type time frame collecting cards. You've been in this hobby a long, long time. Are you seeing an uptick in cards from when you were a kid, 70s, 80s, as far as in demand and getting more valuable?
Sure. So to address it head on here, I'm not sure how old you think I am, but I grew up in the 80s and the 90s.
So
but
call me a liar for a decade.
I understand we've had some technical difficulties today. It's out of your brain. So anyway, there's definitely an uptick, and I think it's pretty simple because I'm living it myself. Tom, I'm earning a few extra dollars. I'm buying what is really cool to me from when I was a kid, and it is not just related to cards, right? It could be a cool piece. It could be a cool pair of Jordan sneakers that maybe Nike reissued, or maybe I'm even going back and buying the original pair just because I like them. I just think that's what's happening. And so ultimately, the 80s and 90s people are hitting their 40s-ish, right? They're starting to come into a few dollars. And I think that there is definitely an uptick, at least from what I'm seeing, as far as 80s Hall of Fame rookies, some 90s rookies, but in the 90s, I feel like it's more of the inserts that people are going after, but not just basketball anymore. It's baseball and football as well.
Joe, what are your thoughts on
right?
that?
All of a sudden, this is like music, right? All of a sudden, rock and roll becomes classic rock. And it's like, our rock and roll is not classic rock. Now, our stuff is vintage stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, so if what you're saying is true, and Joe, I'm going to ask you this question. Did the 70s get kind of bypassed as far as real valuable cards?
Not at all. I think, Leighton nailed it. It's kind of that traditional generational cycle. Guys get into a certain place in their life. They have a little bit more disposable income, and they seek nostalgia. And what's nostalgia? Like Leighton said, it's what they experienced when they were kids. That's like, it's burned into our memories. That's what we that's what nostalgia is. And so, yeah, I mean, some of the 1970s really high profile, big name rookie cards are extremely valuable. I'm looking. I happen to have our auction pulled up right now. Like, we have a Mike Schmidt rookie in a 10. I mean, we have an estimate of 300,000 and up on that.
Oh,
George Brett, 150,000 and up. Some of the tougher ones, Ozzie Smith. I mean, Ricky Henderson's kind of 80 top, so kind of on that fringe. But those guys that kind of made their mark during that decade and kind of spilling into the 1980s, those guys, yeah, that's my generation. I guess Leighton's generation a little bit later. But those are the guys we grew up watching. And so we're at a different place in our life. That's what we're going to seek. So I actually have found that some of those sets, I mean, 1975 tops has really, really escalated in value. But some of those sets, not only are they popular with our generations, but they're tough. 1970s quality control was just awful in most cases. So there are exceptions to that, but they're actually pretty tough to get in the great. You would think, oh, there's 10s all over the place. It's not the case.
So let me ask you this. So a guy like Ricky Henderson gets a lot of love and a high grade. Other than his rookie card, why doesn't Yaz get a lot of love?
That's a good question. I mean, he had such a long career, so I got to see him kind of at the tail end of his career. But you know what? I think this is the analogy that just popped into my head, and you might laugh at me, but Carl Yastrzemski in some ways is kind of like the Tim Duncan in baseball. What I mean by that is that the guys that were just consistent, they were never necessarily considered the greatest of their era, but they did it every year. They just kept doing it, putting up the numbers. And at the end of their careers, they have, amazing career statistics. In the case of Duncan, of course, in basketball, what was it? 5 NBA championships, Hall of Famer. But because it was just that consistency throughout their career, they didn't get as much love as they deserved. I think that does change over time, though, because people do start looking at the numbers because they weren't able to watch them when they were playing. So what they see is their accumulation of accomplishments. And, with Yaz, I mean, Triple Crown, how tough is that? I mean, how rare is the Triple Crown in baseball? I mean, Triple Crown winner, Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits, almost 500 home runs, just a tremendous career. But I think it's those guys that just go out there every day and they just keep doing it, but they're never quite elevated. Al Kaline's another one. Popular, but again, just did it each and every year. Wasn't Willie Mays, didn't have the flash of like a Roberto Clemente, but just was a consistent producer.
We're biased here in New England because Yaz had the Triple Crown and everyone recognizes that nationally. But the September of '67, for those of us who lived through it, is just unforgettable how clutch he was and what he did. But the rest of the country doesn't know that. And certainly a lot of the collecting hobby doesn't know that because they didn't witness September of '67. But in our minds, and you're right, Joe, it's basically cumulative. That's his Hall of Fame credentials. It's cumulative over 20 plus years. He never really, he had that one outstanding month. He had the Triple Crown year, but not a lot of people are going to carry that forward outside of here in Boston.
Well, I mean, Leighton mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the book. It's kind of our job as people, not just in the hobby, but certainly sports historians. It's our job to pass along those stories to the next generation. And sometimes that comes in the form of a book. Sometimes it comes in the form of an auction description. But we need to retell those stories so the next generation knows about them.
Leighton, any final thoughts?
Yes, I'm very excited to not only put out, of course, the book with you and Ellen and Joe, but we're also really excited. We're going to be set up at the Philly show next week. Our Just Collect team will be there, but we're also going to be opening up auctionwire.ai to the general public for the first time. And for those that don't know what that is, go to the website and check it out. But in a nutshell, if you're someone who participates in auctions regularly and you might have a problem, now no judgments from me because I bid way too much. But if you're having a problem keeping track of Heritage and Memory Lane and all the great advertisers of the Great American Collectibles Show, this is going to be the tool on the website for you. but don't take my word for it. Come by the site. Come by the show. Check out the site with us. We'll give you a demo. It's gonna be real exciting.
By the way, the the book that we are writing right now, all systems are go for it to be released at the 2027 National. So we've got some time. We're working on it. It takes about a year to year and a half to put the whole project together. So with the help of the good Lord, we're going to be releasing it at the 2027 National. We're working with Joe Drellick and the gang over there at the National. With that being said, Mr. Orlando, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Consultant, we appreciate it. And Leighton, we'll be talking to you another 20 times over the course of the week. Louis, as always, thanks.
You'll be
Great
talking
job.
to me another 20 times during the course of the week.
Yeah, and Rico, wherever you are, we still love you. With that being said, happy collecting.
Great seeing you guys.